Hello friends, welcome to the lecture on operators in Perl. Today we are going to look at the various operators that exist in Perl. So let's get started. Arithmetic operators are basic arithmetic functions that we perform. Those are addition, multiplication, division, subtraction, modulo, exponential, and unary negation. We have already looked at most of these operators, at least till exponential in our second lecture while writing our first full script. But we again gonna look into these operators in detail in our next lecture or in our coming lectures. Uh, then we have the comparison operators. There are two types of comparison operators. One is done on integer and the second one is done on strings. So integer comparison operator, we can also use these operators on floating point data also. So let's see, integer comparison operators are these are basic operators that we have kept using on our daily basis. These are less than, greater than, double equal to. So double equal to is basically to check whether, so for example, dollar a is equal to dollar b. Now both the values are same. It is, if both the values are same, then it says the value is true, else it evaluates to false. So it is basically an equality check. Less than equal to, greater than equal to, not equal to basically says that my first integer is not equal to the second integer. And now the comparison operators. So this is an interesting operator. This is a three-way comparison. Now the integer on the left hand side is first checked. If it is less than to the integer on the right hand side, it will evaluate to 1, or the result would be 1. If they both are same, then the result would be 0. If integer is greater, left hand side integer is greater than right hand side integer, it will evaluate to -1. Similarly, we have string operators. String operators are again they are again the same as compared to integer operators, but the way we denote them would be different. We would actually write the operator in the form of LT, that is less than. For greater than, we'll have GT. Equal to, we'll have EQ. Less than equal to is LE. G is for greater than equal to, not equal to is NE. And for comparing it, three-way comparison, we have CMP. So these are exactly the same as compared to the integer operators, but these are applied on strings. So whenever we need to compare two strings, let's use these string comparison operators. Make a note that you should not use the integer comparison operators on strings. Whenever you need to do any kind of comparison on strings, always use the string operators. Moving ahead, we have logical operators. These are very important operators. The logical operators help you to actually rewrite your if loops in such a way that the code looks much cleaner, as well as all the conditions can be written in one line itself. So just consider an example where you need to compare two or three different conditions, and if all evaluates to true, only then you need to go inside the if block and do or just print something. So for example, you first need to check if dollar a is equal to 0, or let's say dollar a is equal to 20, and also check whether dollar a is greater than 10. So what you're going to do is, you will have dollar a is equal to 20 and use a logical AND operator followed by dollar a is greater than 20 or greater than 10. So if both these conditions are true, it will then go inside the if loop and do whatever is required there. So logical operators are very important. They will help you to club a lot of conditions together, evaluate them, and uh, do the rest of stuff in a very simpler way. So these are three types of logical operators. One is OR, and NOT. Or is basically either of the conditions should evaluate to true and both the conditions should evaluate to true. A logical not is, for example, if dollar a is not 0, then it will evaluate to true. If we have not of dollar a, so dollar a is some kind of a value, then it will, and if I have a not sign in front of it, then that particular condition will evaluate to true. Similarly, these operators can be written in its English form, or and not. The only difference is that the precedence for these operators is less as compared to the operator as such. So the notation as such. The operator precedence we look later when we look into these operators in detail. We have the bitwise operators. Bitwise operators are again operators which are applied on bits. So, for example, we do a bitwise OR on two integers. For example, 24 or 28. So what happens is 24 is converted into a binary format. 28 will again be converted into binary format. Each of these bits will be odd, and whatever the output would be is then a binary number which is again converted into an integer and displayed on the screen. So or means either of the bits are true. So if I'm comparing 1 or 0, then the answer would be 1 because one of them is 1. In case of AND, it would be either 1 and 1 or 0 and 0, not 1 and 0. So if it's 1 and 0 or 0 and 1, it would evaluate to 0. In XOR, it would be either 0 or 0 XOR 1 or 1 XOR 0. It would evaluate to 1, but neither 1 XOR 1 and 0 XOR 0 would always evaluate to 0. Bitwise NOT operator is actually negating the entire binary string. So if the binary, so in, let's say in the binary string I have 0011, and if I use negation, what happens is my 0011 gets 1100. I'm just changing the bits from 0 to 1 and 1 to 0. These are very important operators, left shift and right shift. So whenever we do a left shift, we actually move each of the bits towards left hand side. What we mean by that is we actually are multiplying the number by 2, and whenever we do a right shift, we move each of the bits on the right hand side. So we can say we are basically dividing the number by 2. Remember, the number of times you apply a shift on a particular integer, you are actually doing multiplication, or you are actually multiplying it by 2 that number of times. So if I'm doing left shift 2 times, I'm actually multiplying it by 4. We look into each of these operators in detail in our coming lectures. Assignment operators, they are used for assigning values. We have seen this multiple times, but with assignment you can also do an addition and then quickly assign. So the way we write this is plus and equal to. Similarly, all the operators can be used with the assignment. Basic arithmetic operators can be used with assignment operator. Along with, you have the bitwise AND, OR, and XOR operators also. Increment and decrement operators, these are quick way of incrementing a particular value in a variable. So for example, if a variable has let's say dollar count is equal to 0, now inside my loop I'm just using dollar count plus plus. So what happens is every time dollar count plus plus is encountered, it increments the dollar count value to uh, it increments the dollar count value by 1. So instead of writing dollar count is equal to dollar count plus 1, a simple way of writing is dollar count plus plus. Similarly, decrement, it will decrement the value of a particular variable or the value stored in that particular variable by 1. Now, there are two ways of incrementing and decrementing. One is the post increment and the other one is pre increment. So in post increment, what happens is, now let's say I have a dollar a is equal to dollar val plus plus. Now what happens is, when I do this kind of an assignment, dollar a will get the value of dollar val, but not the incremented value of dollar val, because I have done dollar val plus plus. So in case I want the incremented value, I have to do plus dollar val, which is like this. So directly at the assignment level itself, it will assign me the incremented value. Similarly, for decrement, we have post decrement and pre decrement. The string operators, we have looked into both of these operators in detail in string manipulation lecture. Though I'll quickly give you a brief overview. These are concatenation and repetition. Concatenation, it will concatenate two of the strings which are in consideration. Repetition, it will repeat the string number of times you have specified. as the integer value. The other operators in Perl are conditional and comma operators. Conditional operators are a quick way of evaluating a particular condition. So for example, if you want to check whether $val is equal to 0, then assign result to 14 or assign result as 7. So uh, in traditional way, what we'll do is we'll write an if loop saying if $val equal to 0, then assign $result is equal to 14, else assign $result is equal to 7. But this can be done in one simple line, in this way, where $val is equal to 0. We'll first write down the condition, then what if it evaluates to true, you need to mention that particular value, that is 14. If it evaluates to 7, if it evaluates to be false, then 7 would be assigned to $result. Comma operator, we're going to use the comma operator in Perl. Excuse me, comma operator in Perl number of times. In hindsight, we have been using that. Basically, what comma operator does is, uh, it just helps you to write multiple statements in a single line. In this case, $num1 and $num2 are assigned a value of 10. So instead of writing it on two multiple lines, that $num1 is equal to 10, $num2 is equal to 10, we have done that on the same line. We come to the end of our lecture. We look each of these operators in detail in our coming lectures. So see you at the next lecture. Thank you.